Happy Easter, everybody. I know it's a different one, and I got to tell you that we're all in situations now that it's unique, okay? Celebrating Easter kind of together digitally. Some of us do have family around us right now, and some of us don't. You might be celebrating Easter on your phone right now, or TV, computer, I don't know. But it doesn't change the fact that Easter's amazing. And we can be happy in this Easter. And if you don't know the setting of the Easter story, I want to tell you what it is because it has everything to do with you. It matters so much. Here's how it plays out, the scene leading up to it. There's a couple of ladies heading toward the tomb of Jesus. See, Jesus has been killed, and that's why he was put into a tomb. And these ladies are showing up to bring burial spices. It was a ceremony thing, is what they would do. And now that the Sabbath had passed, they were able to show up and address the body and take care of that. And they came expecting guards to be there because guards had been stationed there. And a big giant stone that would cover the entrance to the tomb. They knew coming they'd have to ask the guards to help move the stone so they could go into the tomb. And they were going with it with a sense of grief. And that was the scene for Easter. But let me take you straight to the Bible. Watch this. When they entered the tomb, they saw a young man clothed in a white robe sitting on the right side. Now when they show up, the guards weren't guarding. The stone had been rolled away. I mean, if you do any kind of Google search, you'll find that. You get the story of Easter. The women were shocked. Yeah. But the angel said, don't be alarmed. You're looking for Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. It's important not to miss that detail. The angel is saying, yes, Jesus was killed. He isn't here, though. He is risen from the dead. Risen from the dead. Look, this is where they laid his body. Like, there's proof. I mean, there's this moment. He's saying, hey, you're here to kind of mourn and grieve, but you don't have to. Jesus has resurrected. This is why millions of people are celebrating this moment, that Jesus went from being dead to alive. He resurrected. It's a big deal. But some of us are like, why? I mean, think about this. Sometimes it's like, well, that's a religious thing, is we celebrate that Jesus was dead and now he's alive. Yay, Jesus. And you should be asking the question, this Easter, what does the resurrection of Jesus mean for me? Because it means something for you. It does. It means something so significant for you. In fact, if you pay attention in the Bible, it states not only what happened to Jesus in the death part and the resurrection. We have details, eyewitnesses of Jesus when he raised back to life. He went around talking to different people. One of the first groups he gathered up were his disciples. Of course he would, right? He went and talked to them, and what he says to them has everything to do with the power of Easter, the meaning of the resurrection, and what this has to do with you. Let me show you what he said. Jesus came and told his disciples, I have been given all authority. Just don't read too fast. All authority. I have been given all authority in heaven and on earth. In other words, everywhere. I have been given all authority. This is a big deal. Jesus has died, he's resurrected, and his statement to his disciples, he's saying, I have authority over everything. I have that. And authority is a big word to you and I. Here's what Jesus is saying. Jesus is king. He's like, I've got all the authority. No one has more authority. I have all authority. He's leading into your life and my life going, like, you pay attention to this. You think about this. You do. It brings up a thing in your life I'm not sure if you've paid attention to. That right now, you have a throne in your life. a real life throne. When I say real life, like it could be emotionally, or you might just be equating it to, yeah, I got a boss, or I got my spouse tells me everything to do, or I got these friends, or maybe it's more something. It's finances tell you what you can do and what you can't, or these stresses and worries. You have a throne. You have someone or something that you have granted authority to. You have said that I'm going to depend on you. It's going to be about you. You lead me. You have a throne in your life. In fact, I think I can prove it. Let's talk about where we're at right now. Let's talk about common day right now, Corona. Corona means crown. Did you know that? You might have already known that. But the meaning of the actual word means crown. And I think we all could admit, and in all seriousness, that the coronavirus has tried to take authority. I mean, I know for me it's changed my rhythms and routines, and it's, for you, probably disrupted a lot, and for many caused a lot of pain. And I think we've looked at how the whole world, literally the globe, is paying attention to the coronavirus. And I find it fascinating in our conversation now, celebrating Easter, talking about who has authority. Corona means crown. And it's affected the economy. It's affected our well-beings. It's affected how we do life. Boy, is it acting a lot like it's the ultimate. You've got that in your own life. In fact, there's lots of people who have claimed authority or being the king, the crown bearer in our lives. Come on, let's have fun with this. Okay, come on. Here, Burger King. In theory, by definition, Burger King says we make the best hamburger. I'm not going to add a bunch of commentary here, okay? I'm just going to say I don't think, and I'm sorry if you work at Burger King, and I'm not hating on you, I don't think Burger King makes the best burger in all of the world, okay? Or maybe you're more of an ice cream person, and Dairy Queen claims to be the ultimate authority on ice cream. I don't know what your favorite ice cream place is, but there's lots. I know this is funny. Oh, I know what you're thinking right now. Oh, I know what you think. Tiger King. Yeah. I mean, if you know Netflix, have Netflix, or if you've just across your Google search, probably you've seen that, like, everyone's like, what do I do with my time? Oh, I watch this documentary kind of thing called Tiger King. And I'm sorry for the spoiler alert. I'm sorry. But basically the takeaway is you've got this guy who has this rise and then this fall. What we can see in this is in the humor of it. There's a seriousness to it, isn't it? Because there is something that you and I constantly grasp for and others even try to take over. It's called control. You can see it just in the main horizons of life where you watch the news and you watch different authorities taking different decisions and precautions. And many of us are looking at our lives feeling we're a little less in control. You know what Easter brings up? It brings up control. Control is one of the major things in your life that you and I struggle with. Did you know that? You don't have to be a control freak. I'm just saying, you and I wrestle with this. It may not be the coronavirus for you. It may not be the job. Maybe you're still making what you were normally making. But all of us have things in our lives that when we feel like we're losing grasp of it, when we're not able to pull the levers like we normally could, when it's not as close to us or secure, we feel like we're losing control. And Easter brings up this conversation. And when you think about who you're going to give control to, have you ever thought about that, or what you're going to give control to? You have all the options. We have tons of options to give control to. Like, there's tons of options. I mean, it could be your job, and it could be a person or whatever. Can I just offer a suggestion? As you're processing who in this season now, but even for the rest of your life, who are you going to let be in control? What about a guy who can walk on water? I mean, that's a big deal. What about a guy who can take a little lunch and multiply it and feed thousands of people? What about a guy who can heal people of diseases that were never curable? What about a guy who is willing to die for you? and then come back to life for you. When you're processing who you're going to let have control, have the throne, well, I think it brings us into the Easter conversation. In fact, let me show you a visual that often illustrates Easter. Again, if you do a Google search of this, if you just look around, you're going to see lots of different artist depictions of the tomb that Jesus' body was put into. The lesson here is that the tomb is empty. The lesson is that Jesus was dead, put into a tomb. That's the only reason he could put into a tomb, was dead, and now he is alive. There's a power here. Oh, there's an authority here that is a big deal. And might I suggest, when you look at control, if someone can do this, I think they should be given this. If someone has the authority to look at death and say, death, you have no control over me. I'm talking physical. I'm not talking about weirdness. I'm talking about right now, if a guy, Jesus, who can say, you know what? Death does not control me. I have ultimate authority. I think you should let that person sit in this seat. But it's a choice you and I get. Who is your king? I mean, you have one. Who is your king? And I find it very profound that in the midst of this, that when we make this, who's going to be my king? Who's going to be my king? Someone was like, well, it depends on so-and-so. No. Let me give you the rules. Let me give you the rules of a throne. There's a seating capacity of one. A crown can fit on one head. Who is your king? It's not multiple options depending. No, you choose now. And in fact, in this, the quandary you and I have about going back and forth sometimes, like, well, sometimes Jesus is. Sometimes I give Jesus this. And sometimes I feel like I might need to sit down in there. He knew that you and I, we would struggle with this back and forth, struggle with who's our king, who's our king. In fact, Jesus was asked, hey, how do we pray? And I find it very profound, the words he said, oh, you want to know how to pray? Let me show you how to pray. Pray like this. Our Father in heaven, may your name be kept holy. May your kingdom come soon. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. I don't know if you're getting the vibe of that prayer, but Jesus said, you want to know how to pray? I want you to pray that I sit in the throne. That you acknowledge I'm in control. If you want to know the lesson of Easter, the quandary you and I find ourselves in, it brings us to a decision, and it's to give Jesus your throne. To quite literally give him your throne. And I know it's easy for me. I'm a pastor, and it's Easter. Yeah, okay. Right now I will. I mean, I'm pretty desperate right now, or I'm walking through some stuff, and boy, obviously I can't seem to control everything. So sure. No. This brings up a challenge that you and I face so consistently. I think oftentimes this is a daily choice to give Jesus your throne. I remember when Hayden, our first child, was born. We were getting ready to go, and I didn't know everything how to do it. And I remember getting into the seat, and we had this car seat and everything. It was like amazingness. Latched him into it, and he's so little. And I remember putting him in the car, and the nurses even like walked us down. I don't know if they were like, we don't know if you guys can do this, but I remember getting into the car and driving away. Our first kid in the car, and I am pretty sure that I went about 10 miles an hour all the way home. Like super, super slow, like knowing this child is so fragile. And I'm like, I got to control the whole situation, make sure the car was good, everything's good, and just drove super slow and make sure. And I got to tell you, that was one of the scariest times I've had as a parent, is that first moment. But so far, it's not in the top 5, though. So that child, Hayden, is now 16. Yeah. So it wasn't too long ago that I handed Hayden the keys, and he began to learn to drive. And that meant I sat in the passenger seat, and he sat in the driver's seat. And I got to tell you, like I thought, like if you said, David, do you like deal with fear? I'd be like, no, I don't deal with fear. Like I don't deal with control. No. Oh my goodness. I mean, our son is a great driver. But when you turn the keys over to someone who is learning to drive, and you're sitting in the passenger seat and you don't have a brake pedal, you don't have a steering wheel, and you begin to realize that I have granted control and authority in the moment to another person, come on. So scary. So when I say give Jesus your throne, I'm not playing games with you. I'm well aware that this is perhaps one of the most challenging moments that you and I could ever face, one of the biggest decisions we could ever make. I mean, what does it look like to give Jesus your throne? Well, instead of sitting in it, you make sure that you're out of the throne, and it's a bow to it. This is the posture of life. And I wonder if you've been trying to borrow from Jesus moments. Maybe have these moments where you're like, I need you right now, just for a little bit. So I'm gonna need to borrow you. It's a convenience. I have this health thing. So I need you. Just come on, Jesus, real quick. I need you. But as soon as that gets resolved, hey, I'm good. No. Giving Jesus your throne is this act of submission. It's a big deal. In fact, every Easter as a church when we gather, we bring up obviously the Easter story. Jesus died and resurrected. He acknowledges that he has all authority. And now you and I find ourselves in a moment of response. Our desire is not for you and I just to gather like this while you're watching me on TV or your phone. Be like, okay, that was neat, that was special. No, there is a response here. I think it calls for a response. Have you given Jesus your throne? And what a season we find ourselves in where it's way different. Far more loose. Most of us don't feel like we have the tight grip that we probably felt like we had about a month or two ago. So I want to call you to a response this Easter to give Jesus your throne, to submit to him, and let him be in full control. In fact, here's what I want to do. Whoever you're with, I want you to bow your head and close your eyes. I'm serious. Let's do this. Just bow your head and close your eyes. And I want to pray with you, but specifically those of you who have never let Jesus have the throne. I want to help you in a time of prayer. So with your heads bowed, eyes closed, if you don't know what to say, you could say this out loud where you're at or quietly, but let me help you turn the throne over. Jesus, I give you my throne. You are the best one to be in control. So I acknowledge that you have all authority everywhere. I submit to that. I'm sorry for trying to do all of life on my own and submitting to the wrong things and the wrong people. God, I give you my life. I choose to follow you now. I pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen. We're about to do even more together. In fact, coming up, we're going to pray. We're going to go into a time of worship, and just I think it's a special time where you and I say, what do I do with Easter, especially this Easter? So if you're still in that posture of praying and you're not even listening to me, that's fine. But if you prayed that prayer that I led you in, I want to invite you to do something. This is very simple. Based on what I understand of how you and I are interacting right now, there's probably a chat section or a comment section. If you prayed that prayer with me, would you do this? Because I want to pray for you. I don't want this to be like it's so private that you and I never, I want to pray for you. We want to pray for you. So let me invite you into this. Like right now, in this moment, if you prayed that prayer with me, I want you to type the name Jesus and press send. I want you right now, in the comments, in the chat, if you prayed that, type Jesus. And let's respond together in the moment as we go into singing together. Maybe you're just going to listen to it, but let's spend this time responding, acknowledging that what we see this Easter in the midst of what we're walking through, that Jesus is King. So just stay here. And then what am I saying? If you could put the number up there for me, just so.
62488. So you're going to say a similar thing. If you prayed that prayer with me,
Okay.
you're going to text this number. Or text the name of Jesus to this
Okay.
number.
Okay, you just go whenever. And I've got how much time?
At least 3 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Would you put a 3-minute timer there with a? Just so I don't want to like. Yeah.
You've already prayed, coming out of the prayer, you're letting them know we're going to enter a time of some worship, some singing.
Okay.
And if you prayed that prayer, text the word Jesus to this,
Okay.
the name of Jesus.
There won't be singing in this one.
Oh, don't say that. Sorry.
No song.
No.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Go to Tom.
Because this
Okay.
is for, sorry.
Okay. 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 So I'm going to invite them to respond. Got it. When that shows 3 minutes, I'll just go. I want to invite you into a time to respond right now. Yeah, it doesn't matter where you're at right now. I don't want you to pay attention to what you need to go do. Let's not let this moment just stay in this moment. Let's walk this out. So I'm going to invite you to respond. And here's how I'd like you to respond. If you prayed that prayer with me, I want you to get your phone and I want you to text something. Here's the number, 62488. 62488. And I want you to text the name Jesus to 62488. I know this, for someone's like, well, that's just got, no. I want to pray for you. I really do. I want to pray for you. And so here's what I'm asking you to do is don't let this just stay private. If I could pray for you, I'd love the opportunity. So just text Jesus to 62488, and I'll have the opportunity to pray for you. And know this, our heart as a church is that you would walk each day, each night with Jesus on the throne. So, may this be one of the best Easters you've ever experienced because you decided to get off the throne and to give it to Jesus because Jesus is King.